Welcome to the Cryptid Code. I'm your host, Harmon.
I'm Kenzie.
I am Jacob, also known as JP.
Also known as Daddy.
Damn right, kids.
And we like to talk about cryptids and aliens and generally anything spooky.
And we cuss a lot.
Yeah.
Forewarning.
Don't advertise on this show.
Don't say that.
It's only going to be a matter of time before Raid Shadow Legends reaches out to us.
I'm cool with that. I'll sell my soul.
Do it.
But anyway, our topic today is presented by yours truly, Harmon. And it is the Sheepsquatch of West Virginia.
Sheepsquatch.
Redneck Sasquatch.
Ah, yeah. Probably
So-
eats sheep.
Have any of you heard of the Sheepsquatch?
No, I have no freaking
Yes.
idea.
I have, and I love the sheep one.
Okay, just from the name, what do you think it is? Like, what comes to mind?
Sasquatch, but with white wool around it.
I was going to say Sasquatch that eats sheep.
JEP, you are actually the closest one.
Wow.
Kind of.
I like how you said JP.
He was trying to figure out which name to call me by.
Because there's so many.
Harmon. It's
Okay.
Daddy.
So the best description I could find, because surprisingly, there's not that much information on Sheepsquatch. It drove me crazy because I love to do like deep dives. I love going down the rabbit hole and finding all the spooky stuff. And really, I could barely find anything about it. But the descriptions are, it is both four-legged and two-legged. It will switch like back and forth between the two. It is described as being anywhere from 6 to 9 feet tall and covered in matted woolly hair with a pair of goat horns on its head.
So basically, we're talking about like the fucking devil here.
Okay. Well, this sounds like somebody strapped fucking horns to a polar bear.
You would be surprised. Actually, that's pretty close to some descriptions. It's described as having a long dog-like face where
What
it's
the
like
heck?
pointed. And its front legs will have paws, while its back legs, in some accounts, have hooves. It differs
And
depending on
then,
who you talk to.
and then it goes back and forth between walking on 4 legs or walking on 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm with you.
there's only a handful of sightings of this thing. 2 in 1994, 1 in 1995, another in 1999, 1 in 2003, and surprisingly, one as recent as 2015, which is crazy to me.
That's the year I graduated. That thing's coming for me.
We all know you're old, JP.
I'm the oldest.
Sheepsquatch was like in the stands. He handed you your diploma.
It was him. He was one of the teachers lining the field.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna get that fat bitch.
Thick one.
I have a question
Yes.
about the Sheepsquatch.
Yes.
You have many.
Yeah, well, yeah. But no, so like these sightings, is it literally people who just like happen to see it? Did they come in contact with it? Did they like get attacked by it? Like, what's up?
All of the above.
Is it centralized or is it like all over West Virginia?
It's mostly in Mason and Boone County, but there is one site, and we're going to get to it later, in Kentucky.
Okay, what?
Wait, Kentucky, the state?
Yeah, Kentucky
they-
State.
Damn,
People
this
are
thing's
trying to
moving
steal West Virginia's
fast.
cryptids. Trying to steal Mothman. Now people trying to steal Sheepsquatch.
Yeah. Okay, so the first sighting in 1994 was in Mason County, and it was a former naval seaman known as Edward Rollins. And there's kind of a problem with his account. because it's just this little detail that brings into question the authenticity of his encounter.
Okay.
There are two different stories about what he was doing out in the woods when he encountered this. The first was he was out looking for Mothman, because that makes him unreliable because, he's out looking for something.
Yeah.
The second one makes him even less reliable because, according to some accounts, he was eating mushrooms that he
Oh.
found on the ground.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
that's the one eating special right there.
So hold on a second. You're telling me this man, he's like the first person to ever see this thing?
Supposedly, but we'll get to that.
Oh, freaking hell. But okay, let's just say hypothetically, first person to ever see the Sheepsquatch. And he literally could not be trusted. He could have been high as hell, or he could have just made something up to make himself feel better since he was already searching for stuff.
Yeah, and it's worth noting. Okay, so in his account, he said that he saw the creature come out from the brush and walk up to a nearby river and just drink from it. And all it did was drink from the river for a good few minutes before it just wandered back off into the forest. And I'm going to say it. He is either an extremely strong-willed individual who can just handle fear very well, or he's high as shit.
Well,
Because just watching that abomination drink water for like 5 minutes is exactly what someone on acid would do. Oh man, do you see this shit?
I don't know. I think if I saw that in the woods, I'd be like, I would fucking stare at it. I think I would.
I think I would stare at it. Yeah.
All right. But
Like,
yeah,
what are you going to do? You're not going to run because what if it hears you and it attacks you? You can't go up
True.
to it because what if it attacks you? Like,
I mean, I might eat some wild mushrooms, sit on the floor too, but
yeah, that's pretty gross. I'm not even going to lie. Like, can you imagine like all the bugs that have probably been on it? Ugh.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Decayed state of mind.
I can just imagine him reporting this like a newspaper, and they're like, "Sir, are you sober?" And he's like, "Nah, Aquarius, man."
Wait, but he was like a military seaman, right? He was,
Former.
oh, okay. So he didn't like wander off base and was like, "I'm gonna go eat some fucking mushrooms."
Why would there
And
be a
find
Navy
Mothman.
base in West Virginia?
I mean, there's a Coast Guard in West Virginia, so like, you know.
Okay, and
It's the same thing, isn't it?
No. The information
So-
I could give you, no, it's not the same.
That was a solid answer. All right.
So there's a second sighting the same year, but this time in Boone County. The witnesses were two
Wait.
unnamed children. Yeah.
Pause. I don't know all the counties, obviously. So give me like kind of how far away is Boone and the other county? Like, what's the distance between them?
I think they're like next to each other. It was witnessed by two children. They're anonymous. They didn't give their names. And they saw the creature while they're in their backyard. They described it as like a white bear, but standing on back legs, roughly
It is just a polar bear.
roughly 6 feet tall. But here's the thing: polar bears are really aggressive. They'll beat the shit out of you. Sheepsquatch, he's kind of a bitch.
What if it's just like an albino black bear?
Maybe.
True.
Because they're not that tall though. You said
No,
like
that's
6
pretty
to 9
tall.
feet tall,
But like,
right?
you also have to take into account like how old were these kids?
I don't know. I think like one was 7, according to the
Okay,
count.
so
They
a
could be
black bear would
lying.
be pretty tall compared to them.
I mean, yeah, they could be lying though. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure I saw some crazy shit that wasn't even there.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I kind of called out Sheepsquatch. It fled from them. It turned around and ran away. And the reason they know it was 6 feet tall is because of the branches it broke on its way out.
So there's
Oh.
evidence of it.
Supposedly.
All right, I'm getting tired of the supposedly shit.
I can't say.
Okay, if you want to be on a fucking cryptid channel, it's gonna be a lot, supposedly.
I know, but it just drives me nuts. You
It's so
can't trust
Sheepsquatch
anybody.
can't sue us for libel.
I never talked about Sheepsquatch before.
The next sighting was in 1995 in Boone County again. It was spotted by a couple driving along a road in their car, and they apparently saw it just hanging out in a ditch before it attacked. This is one of the few accounts where he's aggressive, because he actively attacked their car, and I couldn't find proof of this, but according to the witnesses, left deep scratches in the car.
I mean,
What year was this?
1995.
Okay.
like I'm just sitting here thinking, so he won't attack children, and he's kind of like dumb when it comes to people being around him. Cool, but terrified of vehicles. I mean, it's like any
There's
animal.
like
I
loud
think.
noises.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, didn't Mothman chase cars? Like, I feel like that. I feel like a lot of animals do that kind of stuff. Either they like attack something that's really, really big and scary to prove a point or something.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he has a code of honor.
He's
Maybe he
like,
has
yeah, I
like the
won't fuck up
Bushido.
kids. I'll fuck up cars.
Fuck cars.
That car was challenging me to a fight.
Exactly.
But here's the really weird thing about this account is they describe the Sheepsquatch as having 4 eyes.
I still think it's just a fucked up bear.
Why has it
What
got
if it was
4 eyes?
just wearing what if it was just wearing glasses and they're
Question.
like bullying him?
Why would he be
When I was
wearing
in the
glasses?
ditch. When I was in
You
the
know,
ditch, do
just-
you know what time of year it was?
No, it didn't specify, sadly.
Because like bears, I still think it's just a bear. I think it's just like an albino bear.
Could be like an albino bear with like birth defects. Have you like seen those cows that have like legs on their backs? Like that's what I'm thinking about.
Well, like bears, when they're like starting to like get ready to hibernate, they'll eat anything. So it might have been in a dish, fucking eating trash.
Possibly. I didn't expect you to be the designated skeptic.
I know, I'm enjoying
podcast.
these theories.
I
Go JP.
think it's just a bear.
Well, we're gonna keep kind of dabbing on Boone County here because the 1999 sighting was there as well. So, and this is another one where it's aggressive because it was a group of anonymous campers hanging out in the forest around a bonfire. When suddenly they started hearing, now this is going to go into your theory, JP. They heard noises similar to that of a bear. And suddenly the creature charged at them and it chased them back into their house before just kind of menacing them for a bit. It chased them all the way from the forest into their house, screamed at them while they're hiding in their house before retreating back into the forest. And they returned the next day to find the path from their campsite to the house just all torn up with hoof marks and claw marks and all that.
That's the only thing that's getting me is people keep saying it has hooves, and I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely
That's the only thing that keeps getting me.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily agree with the bear theory. But like, it's just interesting to me that everybody's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna say this is what we saw, but like you can't know our names or our ages or like anything about us.
Well, it might have just been lost in like the telephone of the stories, or a lot of people don't want to say they've seen something weird because people will be like, you're lying and or tripping balls.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to have their name associated to it.
So the third sighting was in Ashby, West Virginia in 2003. Fort Ashby, West Virginia. And we actually have a date this time, June 24th.
Oh, wow.
And it was around midnight, and a man who wants to remain anonymous, but he gave the fake name of Aaron R.
Wow.
Said that around midnight, he was running laps around the Frankfurt Cemetery which I think is odd. It's odd to be out at midnight, not just jogging at midnight, but jogging around a cemetery. Because one, that's spooky. Two, that's kind of in bad taste, personally.
Some people do that though. Like my mom does that.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, you gotta imagine, like, these guys at like a fort like this, they're, you know, military. They probably don't sleep in good intervals.
Let me check. I don't think Fort Ashby is an actual fort.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a place. Like it used to be a fort.
Oh, yeah. You can tell how much I know
could
about
be
the
wrong.
state I live in. Jesus Christ.
It's not even called a town. It's called a census-designated place.
What the hell does that even mean?
People live here, but it ain't a town, so.
People live here, but they ain't real.
It's all a simulation, guys.
It's all Sheepsquatches.
Yeah, Sheepsquatch is it's just simulation.
So not only was he running laps around midnight, but he was running them out there for a pretty long time, because he said at 1:45 a.m. he started hearing screams from the woods. Screams supposedly of a distressed woman. He approached the noises, and out of nowhere, a creature leapt out from the bush at him. Sheepsquatch jumped out at him. But here's the odd thing. Sheepsquatch proceeded to run past him. Not attack him or anything. It ran completely past him. In the exact words of the witness, quote, "I went closer to the trees to help, but it was not human. It ran past me at a high rate of speed, and it turned back and looked at me for 4 seconds. Oddly specific."
That is oddly specific. I don't know how I feel about this one.
Stopwatch at all times. He was like, 4 seconds. 1:45. I know what time it is at all times.
Yeah, this is all very. I don't know about this one.
He said it had the feet of a horse. It ran up the remote mountain. You could even hear it scream again from up there.
Okay, real quick. There's this movie. Title's already like not in my brain, but there is like a creepy bear who ripped the throat out of someone and was able to use like the vocal cords to create like a scream to try and like lure people to it so that it could kill those people.
Annihilation?
Well, I mean, it doesn't make sense for where it is, but like an elk has hooves. An elk makes a really weird noise if you were tired and drained because you're fucking running at 1:45 in the morning. Yeah. You might think that that's a woman.
Or what if he heard a mountain lion fighting?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Sheepsquatch was running from.
So like the sound could have come from like a different animal, and then he just happened to see Sheepsquatch.
Which is hell of a coincidence.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, you also have to consider West Virginia is known for like those kind of animals, like 100%. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched.
And it's not doing well for Sheepsquatch's, image as a scary monster. If it ran to a big cat and it was like, "Oh boy, I gotta get out of here."
I think we've come to the realization that Sheepsquatch is a little bit of a bitch.
Sheepsquatch is a little bit of a bitch.
Well, get ready for that, because the 2015 sighting does not look good for Sheepsquatch. We're actually leaving Virginia this time, West Virginia this time.
Is this the one in Kentucky?
No, this one is in Folks Run, Virginia.
All right. Why is Sheepsquatch everywhere?
He's on vacation.
Apparently.
He's coming to get me, y'all.
He ran down to the state line to get cigarettes. So he was spotted by 6 campers. And apparently they saw him close at midnight. They described him as being 8 to 9 feet tall.
I like how he just keeps growing.
He's eating his Wheaties.
He's a grower, not a shower.
Oh my God.
And so
JP, why are you laughing at your own joke like this?
My jokes are for me.
so they
Sorry,
saw
Logan.
it on the top of a hill. No, they come for banter. They saw it on top of a hill across a river. So Sheepsquatch charged down the hill to the river and supposedly paused a moment, looking for a way to cross before wadding across the river. And the campers,
Wait, hold on. What'd you say?
it tried to wade across the river. It waddled.
I'm so sorry. That is just okay. I'm good. I'm sorry. Please continue.
What the
But
fuck?
here's what?
He's like, he paused before wading into the river. It's pretty good. Okay, I'm so sorry.
So as it was like it crossed the river, they described it as like all the hair was wet and bundled now, but still white. And as it crossed the river, suddenly they hear a scream from the woods. It was described as a guttural scream roughly 2 miles away. And hearing this scream, Sheepsquatch supposedly whimpered, then sprinted away in the opposite direction, just bolted away from the noise.
Okay, so at this point, then definitely 100%. Sheepsquatch is not the one making that noise. That would be kind of the understood thing in reference to that.
So, what do you think it is?
I would say another wild cat of some sort.
So like people are saying it's like a scream?
Yeah, a guttural scream.
I don't know.
Well, there is this one animal that makes like it sounds like a woman screaming, and a lot of people associate it to like wendigos or something of that nature.
Is it elks?
But no, it's like it's a wild cat.
The mountain lion?
I don't know if it's the mountain lion specifically, but there is definitely like an animal that would make that kind of noise that sounds like a scream.
Because, like, when I'm hunting with my dad back when I was a kid, we would hear mountain lions in the distance, and I would shit myself thinking a banshee was announcing my imminent demise.
Okay, then yeah, that's I would say that. But then you also have to consider what about the other times that this noise was heard in reference to Sheepsquatch's existence? Could it be in some fashion that he had like attacked these creatures and then he was like fleeing the scene? It's like he committed a crime.
Giant white bear that just fucking hates cats.
I mean, that too. Well, haven't you seen videos of bears being terrified of cats because cats don't like give a shit?
Yeah, because they're like climbing their backs trying to rip the threads out.
Yeah, cats are crazy.
I've heard
Also, I thought this was finally gonna be a story, like Sheepsquatch did something because you said he charged down the hill, and then he just was like, I don't know how you can cross water. I was really disappointed on that one. I was so ready.
I was like, this man's is about to do something.
I was like, yeah, he's about to fucking attack somebody, and then he just ran across water. Yeah, think about it first. He was like, I don't know.
He's like, can I swim?
And I've heard some weird out there theories about what this scream was. Some people say it was like Bigfoot, and that Bigfoot
Oh my
and Sheepsquatch have like
God.
a rivalry, or that it was a bigger Sheepsquatch.
No.
Maybe this one was like 15 feet tall.
Well, here, hold
Had
on
Why?
three
Who
though.
not seen that one?
No, but like, listen, if they see one that's 6 foot tall and then this one's anywhere from like 9 to 10 feet tall, could it be like understood that they're completely different Sheepsquatches? Like, there's more than one.
Or because this is in 2015, boy grew up.
Yeah, boy got big, and he's still a bitch.
Or maybe it was like a little kitty Sheepsquatch.
But wake up, big.
Could be. I don't know.
So I've actually kind of been bearing the lead here because Sheepsquatch isn't the only name this thing supposedly goes by.
Oh.
It's also called the White Things. It's a
I don't
series.
like that.
The White Things are a series of cat-like or sometimes dog-like creatures described with all white fur. And they've kind of become synonymous with Sheepsquatch.
I don't know how, but like the name for it is kind of disturbing.
Yeah. And here's what excites me.
Oh God.
The first sighting was in 1973 of the White Thing. Would you all like to guess where that sighting was?
Was it West Virginia?
Yes.
Whoa, I'm so good.
Holy poop.
Because you see, a lot of people say the Sheepsquatch smells like sulfur. And a lot of people believe that might have something to do with where it was first spotted. The TNT area of Point Pleasant in Mothman's territory.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was first seen in the TNT area only a few years after the Mothman craze. And Mothman will be getting his own episode at some point, if not a multi-parter.
What if Sheepsquatch is just like a white Mothman?
It's
But, like,
strange you should mention that.
No, wait, hold on. I'm going to argue that really fast before Harmon gives us any more details because I'm sitting here thinking of Mothman. Mothman has, I don't know, wings. They never said anything about hooves. And his eyes are red. And he looks like, like a bug. This looks like a flippin' hairy bear with deformities.
Well, the thing is, I did like a project on Point Pleasant during this period, and there was a lot of weird things going on. Not only was there Mothman, there was a bunch of UFO sightings, the Men in Black, and only a few towns over, there was Endred Cold, who is going to be his own episode at some point. And Endred Cold is one of the most infamous alien encounters in American history.
So
So
basically, you're trying to argue that Sheepsquatch, the White Things, aliens, Mothman, like all this stuff happening is linked together.
not linked,
Pleasant.
but that it's not unusual for Point Pleasant to be the epicenter of a lot of bad mojo.
Would that be partly to blame because of the TNT zone?
You see, a lot of people aren't sure because it was used as an old military facility to like store chemicals. A lot of people believe that local wildlife were mutated,
Which
creating
would explain Sheepsquatch's weirdness.
yeah. So it's just a lot, and I was excited the moment I found out that link between the two.
What if fucking every time like Sheepsquatch is running away, like Mothman just beating the shit out of him? Like, it's just
The
Mothman.
screams that were heard were actually Mothman.
Just
and-
Mothman whooping ass.
I would like to believe that, but the problem is the screams were described as like a woman and gut-based. Mothman
Yeah.
sounds very squeaky.
Oh my God, he does.
Like, according
I
to the
did not know
witnesses who
that.
see him, it goes squawk, squawk, squawk. Like that. It's screes instead of like, ah. That's a technical term.
I'm sure it is.
So, shall we get into the encounter itself? Okay, so the sighting involved a family driving through the TNT area during July. And the actual witness was their 7-year-old son in the back seat, who said he saw something moving alongside the car. He described it as, quote, mostly white, no wings, with real thick, shaggy hair. He also said its head was 3 feet wide. Is that big? I feel like that's really
3
big.
feet wide head.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
like
that's huge.
But if it's like a dog
like
thing,
longer or wider than my arm is long.
so it could just be. Could it just? Are bears that wide? That's a weird question.
I don't think their heads are that wide, but it was also a 7-year-old child. So.
And here's the weird thing. I say that every sighting, but what's odd is he described it not as running alongside the car, but floating alongside the car,
What the fuck, dude?
despite it moving at 65 miles per hour. So it
It's
kept
just
up with it.
levitating.
Supposedly. And that's very similar to the Scarlet sighting of Mothman, the original sighting in the TNT area, because it would just move alongside the car. So I just find that odd.
So, like, it was basically floating, levitating, gliding, whatever. Yeah, so I don't know if I would trust that one because that's a 7-year-old kid.
Yeah. Similar, like so the parents didn't see it.
It never said. It just specified that the 7-year-old boy saw it, but didn't say anything about the parents.
I feel like if I was trying to keep track of a cryptid, okay, I
Yeah.
would take this the witnesses that were credible, as in adults, because like it'd be cool to listen to kids and stuff, but I mean, there comes a point where I feel like adults are more credible in this kind of circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I only have so much information to work with, so I can only draw on children and guys eating shrooms.
And campers who want to be anonymous.
Yeah, and a dude who jogs around cemeteries at night.
Since these all seem like very weird people, I'm not gonna lie. I think that Sheepsquatch is bogus.
Yeah, I'm not convinced, and there's just so little about it that it feels like something that exists as a campfire story.
Yeah, I think it's someone just saw like
Possibly.
a albino bear. And I think it's all it is.
And
Like,
a few people happen to
bears
see it.
can run pretty fast. Like bears are fucking quick.
Yeah, but bears
Yeah,
can't float.
But I mean, again, it's
Not
a 7-year-old
thing.
kid.
So yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I can't make heads or tails of this. I don't want to be a Scully. I don't want to be the skeptic who shoots everything down, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying Sheepsquatch.
I'm not buying it either. I think it's just an albino bear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree with that one. I think it's an albino bear.
Yeah.
And this is going to give the audience a terrible impression of who I am, because this episode is light research, and I don't think the cryptid's real, which is usually the exact opposite of how I usually am. I'll admit it. I'm gullible as shit when it comes to cryptids. I want to believe in that shit. And I just,
it's not there.
It's
Yeah,
just not there. There's not enough information. There's not enough witnesses. I mean, you can only do so much with what you found.
yeah.
And you can come to kind of terms to the fact that this might be fake as fuck.
Now, I also decided to take down notes on the pop cultural effect of Sheepsquatch. Because honestly,
that's a nice segment to do.
That is really cool.
there's actually more about it in terms of fiction than there is quote unquote reality. The first time I heard of Sheepsquatch, it was on a show. Do you all know the Destination channel?
Yes.
Destination America?
I don't think so.
It's a channel that deals with attractions across America. It's basically like a tourism channel, and they handle places to visit, including cryptids. And they had a show called Monsters and Mysteries in America. And this is where I first heard of the Sheepsquatch, because it told the encounter of two teenagers on a hunting trip in Kentucky who saw the Sheepsquatch in 2004. Supposedly, the Sheepsquatch killed one of their hunting dogs, and while they were
Okay, this is how I instantly don't believe this, because so far, Sheepsquatch is a little bitch.
yeah,
Like that's exactly what I was about to say. Like how that is like a very extreme. You go from like all of these handful of accounts that it's just like a bitch, and then you go to one and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna rip this dog in half. Rah rah rah.
maybe it's his like older, more aggressive Kentucky brother.
And now all of a sudden he's like in Kentucky eating dogs, attacking trailers. Like what? Like the worst
I
he
don't
did
buy it.
prior was scratch a car. Like
And
this,
chase some campers.
like yeah, this is new level.
He's
Yeah,
evolving. This is a
now,
character arc, ladies and gentlemen.
now, could that be something else that was shaking and possibly doing the do with that RV? 100%.
Jesus
But
Christ.
don't think that it was Sheepsquatch.
I really don't think it was Sheep Squatch.
But it was the thing screaming at Sheepsquatch.
That would be
I don't know
interesting.
I don't know what the thing screaming at Sheepsquatch was.
Well, wait, can we go back to what is it? The white things?
Yeah.
Could it have been one of those? Like I'm assuming the white things kind of covers like an entire class of bunch of different random things that no one knows what they
Is that like
are.
a genus of cryptid?
Yeah, that's what I
It's
would guess, right?
it's more just various descriptions of a similar creature that is also called Sheepsquatch. So it's more like these two things happening, and people have kind of linked them,
Well, and
saying
like the
that
thing is, but the possibility, especially in this case, that it's not sheep squatch. So who's to say that they're categorizing all of these different things under white thing, and then it's not the same thing? I said
I
thing like 6 times.
the best I can find is that white things are just another name for Sheepsquatch.
Real
Because
creative.
they match like roughly the same description of a dog-like head and white fur.
Okay.
So they actually tried to find Sheepsquatch. They took their guns, took some four-wheelers, and went out looking for it. And
These
they
are the
found,
Kentucky boys.
yeah, these Kentucky lads. And they found it in a field next to a cemetery. So
So he
that's the
hangs at
second
cemeteries.
cemetery.
Yeah.
Now, here's where I'm going to give Sheepsquatch some props. When they rolled up on it with their guns, they said that they saw Sheepsquatch rise out of the brush and charge them. For once, I, I love this character development that Sheepsquatch has, because now he's aggressive. He's the one on the attack. And the two hunters run back to their camper. Apparently, they leave their four-wheelers and just run back to the RV. And they said that they're shooting the whole time, but Sheepsquatch would stay on them. And if they hit it, it showed no signs of hurting. So Sheepsquatch is roided out right now.
So Sheepsquatch is bulletproof. It's
Jesus,
good to
what the
know.
fuck?
Or they're missing.
I
But
would
I'm
Or
vote
they're
missing
missing.
because really, like running and trying to shoot, but
while
you're
scared.
scared and
I
somebody's
don't
shooting
know.
you.
This thing's like 9 feet tall with a 3-foot wide head. Like, it's a big target.
I mean, yeah, I mean, well, yeah, obviously, but at the same time, like, can you imagine like running and having to turn around trying to shoot at it? Like, it wouldn't be hard to miss.
I don't want to imagine that. I don't want to be in their shoes.
I mean, but
Suck, JP.
most shootings in America happen within 10 feet, and even then, half of the rounds on average miss.
Oh, well.
So then it definitely makes
Going
sense
on
that they
just
didn't.
But I'm surprised a lot. Now, what surprises me is that the loud noises didn't scare them off. So, I stand Sheepsquatch's like confidence boost here. I love it. I'm proud of him.
I'm gonna vote it's not Sheepsquatch.
Yeah, I totally believe that it could be something. I just don't think it's Sheepsquatch.
So the next thing is in a play, which actually surprised me. It's a dramatic play made by Casey Wimper in 2015, and it's called Butcher Holler, Here We Come. It's a play about 5 miners who get trapped in a cave-in. And while they're like passing the time, one of them decides to tell the story of how he encountered Sheepsquatch. And I just think that's cool.
That is actually really, really cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Gotta love that
It
art.
makes me happy that other states, know we exist.
Unless they heard about Sheepsquatch from Kentucky.
No.
No, because the play is specifically in West Virginia.
Mm.
The most famous example, what's really led in a spike in Sheepsquatch's popularity, is of course his recent addition into Fallout 76, the video game.
That's how I actually initially heard
Yeah.
about him.
I saw photos from the video game, like just like screen captures of it. It looked really crazy.
That's actually the last thing I have on him is Fallout 76.
All right.
Our
Well,
consensus.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We are unanimous in that he is not real. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
We grant him the title of Cryptid, but not the rank of Cryptid Master. He has no place on this council.
Oh, okay.
He is probably not real.
Yeah, I'm like
yeah.
90% sure. I'm like 95% sure.
I was gonna say 95% sure. There's not enough evidence. If there's no evidence, what am I saying? The eyewitness accounts are all shaky. It's cool that like there's TV shows that talk about him and people doing plays about him and the video game about him, and that's fun and dandy, but it doesn't change the fact that like there's like no grounds to his existence whatsoever.
So I'm glad we decided to start with such a strong case.
I mean, somewhere.
First episode of the Cryptid Code is a strong, resounding, eh?
Wait, can we do it all at once?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Eh?
Eh?
Huh?
God, JP, you were
It's
so
not a
hot.
barbershop quartet.
Leave me alone.
This has been the Cryptid Code. Wishing you a good night. Stay spooky out there.